Okay, we're back. Hey, hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I hope you're enjoying this book. I think it's a really good book. It's really exciting, huh? So, when we last left Ollie and Bear, they were hunkered down inside their snow cave, right? Kind of like a Kinsey type snow cave. Yep. They dug out a little cave and hunkered down. So, we left Ollie snug, sound asleep, thinking about how he shouldn't have left Omar and Jack when they were building the den. So the next chapter, chapter 9, says 2 hands, 2 feet. Says Ollie woke up after the best night's sleep he had ever had. He snuggled into his pillow and wondered what time it was. A stab of hunger answered his question. Breakfast time. He was looking forward to some more of that oatmeal before the adventure ahead. He opened his eyes and found himself looking at Jack. Ollie sat bolt upright in surprise. He looked around him in confusion. Jack was on one side of him in his sleeping bag. Omar was on the other. What are you doing here? Ollie exclaimed. Jack propped himself up on his elbow. What do you mean? He asked sleepily. This is our tent too. Ollie looked around wide-eyed. Where was the snow cave? He felt something hard on the ground next to him. It was the compass. Ollie stared at it. Look at that compass. Looks like it's back to just the 4 directions, right? Interesting. What had happened? How had he gotten back here? Then Omar groaned as he sat up. Man, that ground is so hard. I don't reckon I can do another night like that. Ollie remembered what Bear had told him. If you can find the strength inside you, you can overcome all things, he said under his breath. All you need is to keep going. Omar stared at him. What are you going on about? He paused. Keep going. That's funny coming from the guy who gave up altogether and left his friends to do all the hard work yesterday. Yesterday? Ollie said in surprise. If the den building had been yesterday, that meant everything with Bear had happened all in one night without the other two noticing? Had it just been a really vivid dream? Don't tell me you don't remember, Omar sneered. No, Ollie said quietly. I remember. Jack tried to break up the tension. He clambered out of his bag. We should get moving, he said. What's up today, after breakfast? Omar was still glaring at Ollie. A good night's sleep clearly hadn't done anything to change Omar's opinion of him. You think I'll let you down again, don't you? Ollie said quietly. Omar just shrugged. Whatever. I won't. I promise, Ollie told him. He got the idea nothing he said would convince Omar he had changed. Ollie knew that he would just have to show him. Maybe I'll surprise you, Ollie said with a smile, then started to climb out of the tent. Ollie looked up at the climbing wall and tried not to feel nervous. He wanted to do this. He really did. It wasn't just that he wanted to show Omar and Jack. It was because they were meant to do this as a team, and Omar and Jack were his team. And he wanted to do this for himself, to feel that sense of pride again. But it was a long way up, and he had never really climbed before. The wall was 40 feet high and shaped like a real rock face. There were ropes dangling down which attached to metal clips on the front of their harnesses, so if anyone slipped, they wouldn't fall and hurt themselves. Everyone watched as an instructor demonstrated how to climb. She was already halfway up. You've got 2 hands and 2 feet, she called down to them, so always make sure that 3 out of 4 are holding on to something. Only ever move 1 at a time, like me. So here's her. This is Ollie down here looking like, I'm just not sure I can do this, right? So do you think that adventure with Bear is going to give him the confidence he needs to do that? He's really determined. So here's the instructor. See how she's got 1, 2, 3. Everybody's, yep. So only move 1 at a time, right? She made it look so easy. In fact, she reminded Ollie a little of Bear. She could make it look easy because she was very good at it, and she had to put in a lot of hard work to get there. You are going to climb up 3 at a time against the clock, and we'll see which team is the fastest. First group up for the yellow team is Jack, Ollie, and Omar. A lot of kids looked quite happy that someone else was going first. They could make the mistakes for everyone else to learn from. The instructors came forward with helmets and harnesses. Jack started to put his on without any help because he had done this before. Ollie got tangled up, and an instructor had to help him out. And by the time they were both done, Omar was helmeted, harnessed, and ready to go. Eventually, the three boys took their places at the foot of the wall. Ollie was in the middle, with Omar on his left and Jack on his right. "You going to drop out, Ollie?" Omar whispered. "Just tell them you don't like heights, and they'll let me and Jack do it on our own." Ollie just shook his head. He knew Omar would never believe he could do this until he saw it. So here's Omar whispering to Ollie, "Just go ahead and drop out." Right? Look at Ollie's face. You think he's going to drop out? He looks pretty determined to me. Remember, he learned he can do a lot of things he didn't think he could do. "Get ready," an instructor called. The boys braced themselves. The instructor was poised with a stopwatch. "Get set, go!" Ollie swallowed his nerves, grabbed hold of the wall, and started to climb. There they go. See all three of them? Here's Jack. There's Ollie. There's Omar. Going up the wall. All right, so now chapter 10, the last chapter of our book. Teamwork. Okay, it says, it wasn't long before Ollie felt fire in every joint of his body. His shoulders and hips felt like someone was slowly pulling his arms and legs off. It wasn't like the way his arms had ached as he scooped out the snow with Bear, or how his legs had felt like lead weights after trekking through the mountains. Every movement he made on the wall had to haul the weight of his body upward, which meant that everything he did was against gravity. Climbing used different muscles than walking, and his muscles were making sure he knew about it. But Ollie kept going. He still had the advice from the instructors ringing in his ears about how you should only move one part of your body at a time. So that was what he did. It was like when he had walked with Bear. There was a rhythm to it. Move foot, lift body, move hand, lift body, and above all, just keep going. And Ollie used another trick he had picked up from his adventure in the mountains. Bear had been looking ahead every step of the way. He always knew exactly where he was going to put each foot before he put it down. So Ollie tried the same trick with the rock face. By looking up, he could always see where the next handholds and footholds were, so he was ready and could move fast. Ollie used to just give up the moment he started feeling tired or uncomfortable. But something had changed in him. It was as if the storm had made him stronger. He knew now that some things take effort. The feeling of being part of a team gave him new strength. Sure, it was tiring, but it wasn't anything he couldn't handle. The three boys were practically neck and neck as they climbed together. But then Omar grabbed for a handhold too quickly, and suddenly his fingers slipped off the wall. He fell 2 feet backward with an angry shout. Oh, here he is. "Ah!" Right? His rope caught him, and he dangled awkwardly in midair. Omar managed to get one foot and one hand on the wall, but his body still wobbled, and he couldn't find anywhere else to grab. Ollie instinctively stopped climbing. His teammate needed him. "To your right," Ollie called. He had spotted the handhold a moment earlier. Omar grabbed at the wall on his right. A bit lower, Omar moved his hand, and he was able to grab a bump of rock and hold himself steady. His eyes met Ollie's. "Got it," he said. Jack had also stopped climbing to watch what was happening, so none of them had gotten too far ahead. Then all three boys started climbing again, steady, together, with renewed purpose and effort. And in no time, the trio reached the top of the wall, together. The leaders helped them over the edge at the top, while the kids on the ground were cheering. They had done it. Ollie saw Jack and Omar's happy grins, and then he realized he was grinning too. Then Omar held up a fist with his knuckles toward him. Here. "Good job, team," he said. "And thanks for the help." Ollie and Omar bumped fists together. So now Omar's opinion's starting to change about Ollie, huh? After the climbing, they had an hour to themselves, and they headed back to their tent. On their way, they passed the soccer field where a 5-a-side match between the yellow and red teams had just finished. As the boys walked past, a girl close to them suddenly screamed, and Ollie recognized her as the girl who didn't like creepy crawlies. Back at the tent, they had a small victory feast to celebrate the climb. Ollie had some granola bars, and Omar produced some crackers, and Jack had a bottle of juice. Together they sat and shared the treats. Then Jack suddenly stopped and wiggled as if he was sitting on something uncomfortable. He reached under Ollie's sleeping bag. He held up the object and examined it. "Hey, Ollie, what did you bring these for?" Look what he found. Interesting, huh? Ollie looked up and saw what Jack was holding. Ollie felt his heart start to pound. A pair of goggles. But not just any old pair of goggles. These were the very same goggles which Bear had given him in the mountains. Ollie felt his heart pound. If the snow goggles were real, then so was the rest of it. Maybe the compass would show him his fifth direction again so he could get back there. How could he get the compass to do it again? But then he thought of what Bear might say. If you were part of a team, then you didn't just do things for yourself, and Ollie knew someone who needed the compass more than him. So Ollie put his drink down. "Back in a minute, guys," he said as he crawled out of the tent. He didn't know where to look, but he didn't need to. He heard a familiar scream from a tent nearby. The flap pulled back and a girl crawled out. She was muttering to herself something about nasty insects, and she sounded really angry. She looked up and saw him. "What do you want?" she snapped. Ollie could see that she was embarrassed. She turned bright red. "I just want to give you this," he said. He held out the compass. "It's a gift." "What is it?" she asked. "Your adventure," Ollie replied and smiled. The end. So here he is, handing that compass. He's passing the compass on, right? Just like the girl that gave him the compass, she was passing it on. So this girl's going to have her own adventure. The end. This is Bear, our information about Bear, and then it talks about the other books we're going to get into. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the Blizzard Challenge. Very interesting. So this up here, in the wild, you're stronger together. So this book really showcased teamwork and how teamwork is important when you're in the wild. If you're with a group of people, you really have to work together. Otherwise, you could all be in danger. So we'll follow up with a few more little Blizzard facts. I posted some videos for your parents to show on the GroupMe, so if you haven't seen those, and also I posted a video of how to tie the clove hitch, so you can practice that one. We'll go over that again and have a new knot to try. We're also going to talk a little bit about first aid. So if you want to look up some interesting facts about first aid, or maybe what a first aid kit would have in it, that will be a little bit of what we talk about next week. The challenge book that we're reading is going to be the Desert Challenge. So we're going to talk about the hot environments, which really aren't hot at night. So it'll be interesting to read more about that. I hope you guys have really enjoyed the book. I'm sorry that I was so late in getting these videos out to you, but we will work on doing better next week. So we'll see you guys soon. Bye.